Happy Easter! So today I'm going to be talking about the woman at the tomb. Okay, so here's the thing, and this is really interesting and kind of surprising and also really cool. Back in those days and a really long time ago, people didn't treat women the same as men, and they didn't think women were good sources of intel and stuff, and they wouldn't believe women half the time, which wasn't fair back in the time, but it was just like that. And if someone was telling an important story or trying to convince people for something, really something big happened, they straight up wouldn't go to a woman and ask about them. They would ask the witnesses of men who were at the site. But instead in the Bible, it says that the women were the first ones to discover that Jesus had risen from the dead, and they were the ones who saw the empty tomb and heard the angel and everything. If you see in Luke 24 verses 1 through 4, on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women took the spices they had prepared and went to the tomb. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they entered, they didn't find the body of the Lord Jesus. While they were wondering about this, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them. And also verse number 5 and 6. In their fright, the women bowed down with their faces to the ground, but the men said to them, "Why are you here? Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here, he has risen." So for the women to be there and to experience that they were the first people to see that Jesus was not in the tomb and he had risen, and it's recorded in the Bible, is really cool. Because back then, like I said, they weren't really good sources of intel. And it actually makes it feel more real and honest and stuff, because it's like they just told what happened instead of trying to make it sound better. And also it's really cool. It shows that the women were important and trusted with this huge moment, the biggest news ever. And yeah, it's just kind of awesome and surprising and meaningful all at the same time. And it makes the whole story even more interesting to think about. Happy Easter, y'all.